Salute, BookTube. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. I thought for this video I'd do something a bit special. Uh, there's a new booktuber out there called JJ. Her name's JJ. The channel is JJ the Bookworm and Blacksmith. I think that's the name of the channel. I'm not exactly sure. I should have just checked before I started recording, but I'll link her channel in the description below. You should check it out. Now, from the name, I'm sure the name has Bookworm and Blacksmith. Bookworm is quite easy to figure out, to understand. We're all bookworms here on BookTube. But then the blacksmith part is a bit interesting. I think she's the first booktuber, at least that I've seen, who's very bookish. Her channel, she reads a lot of international literature, just from around the world. A very eclectic reader. But she also does blacksmithing and foraging. And she even has a video where she shows her furnace and where she does her forging of steel into swords and daggers and that kind of stuff. It's very interesting. And you would think, what brings blacksmithing to books? But actually, once you think about it, it probably makes sense because, I mean, in today's age and for a while now, swords haven't really been used. They're used more for ceremonial or for design purposes. Not really used. Doesn't really have much of a utilitarian use nowadays. So the only place you can really understand swords, what they look like, of course you can see them and probably they're in museums. But if you really want to understand them, you need to read to figure out how they were used, what they looked like, how big they were, and all that kind of stuff. So in either way, her channel is very interesting. She's a new booktuber. I highly recommend you check it out. I was checking out one of her videos, and she was talking about swords, and she mentioned two words that stuck in my mind, that caught my attention. She used the word scimitar, which is the Arabian style sword, which is famously curved. It's almost like a cutlass. She used that word in one of her videos. And then what was the other word she used? Was Damascene steel. Damascene is from Damascus, which is till today the capital of Syria. Actually, in the news just today, I think the Israeli Air Force was bombing Damascus. But anyway, Damascene steel was a famous steel that was used for swords. Some of the best steel for the best swords came from Damascus. So these were Arabic terms or references. And as for people who know this channel, who have been following this channel, I mention it in almost all of my channels, all of my videos. I mention it that I am based in the United Arab Emirates, in the heart of the Middle East. And so I thought about just her video with the blacksmithing, and she's been very kind and commenting on my videos, and I've been watching her videos. And when she mentioned scimitars and Damascene steel, and just going back to when swords were used in battle, etc., mostly in the medieval period, I would imagine was their golden age, if you will. Just got me thinking, and I thought I would show a bit of some books and also some examples of swordsmanship, daggers mostly, but also swords based here in the Middle East. I hope that maybe JJ will enjoy it. I was gonna show the books I've got. I found, so what I did was I did a bit of research because I'm not a sword or a dagger expert. So I did a bit of research, and it turns out there's a small museum not far from where I live that actually it's a dagger museum. a dagger and sword, Arabian dagger and sword museum. So I said maybe I'll go there, make a video there, and then post it here. What happened was I went, and when I got there, the place was closed for renovation, which was weird because on their website, it said they were open. But when I actually passed by and said maybe I'll make a quick video because it's a small museum, not a very big one. But they were closed for renovation. Here in the Middle East, where I'm at, it's the dead season. The summer is. We've been getting warnings that temperatures could reach 49 degrees Celsius. I'll check what that is in Fahrenheit. I should have checked before, but basically really, really hot. We'll check in Fahrenheit, make a quick search. But so what I'm trying to say is it's not the touristy season. So a lot of the touristy places, like museums or touristy places, are closed for renovation. Let's do Fahrenheit. The place was closed, which was a disappointment. I wanted to make the video and show JJ some of the Arabic swords and daggers firsthand, but they were. So 49 degrees Celsius is 120 Fahrenheit. So just really difficult conditions. Anyway, so it was closed and I was very disappointed. And actually, because I was disappointed, I went from there. It wasn't very far from the used bookshop, so I went and got some used books. I'll make a book haul video. My next video will be a book haul video, but I was disappointed not that the museum was closed, but I looked through my libraries and found some one or two things that can demonstrate the Arabian swords and daggers for anybody who might be interested. I made a video called John Steinbeck's The Pearl and Pearl Diving in the Arabian Gulf, in the Arabian Peninsula region, or the Persian Gulf. So this one will be another sort of, I don't know, cultural video sort of thing. Maybe I can make it a playlist if anybody's interested. So what I'm hoping to do, the books that I did find are kind of the big picture book, coffee book kind of. So I'm worried about showing it here. It'll be a bit difficult to carry. I'm thinking of doing it on the table and putting the camera on top and showing it like that. I'm gonna try to do it just here, and if it becomes difficult, I'll just cut it at this point, and I'll do it on the table. But if not, let me try to do it here, and we'll see how it goes. Just before we begin, there has to be a history lesson. There's always a history lesson. I'm a non-fiction reader, mostly history history genre reader of history, but I just wanted to make something clear very quickly about Middle Eastern history with swords specifically. So the when Islam came about, it was very much a army made of swords that invaded what is today the Middle East, although they reached all the way to Spain in the west and all the way to China in the east. But their main thrust, they came out of the deserts of Arabia and went into Mesopotamia, Persia, and east to China, and they went west to the Levant, Egypt, North Africa, and all the way to Spain in the west. And the Islamic Golden Age, the Golden Age of Baghdad, and the 1001 Nights and all that good stuff lasted for a couple of hundred years. But then there was a bit of a decline in the Arab Islamic world. There were two forces that penetrated the Islamic world from two sides that attacked. The first was from the west, was the Christian Europeans, the Crusaders, who invaded the Holy Land and pretty much controlled the whole Mediterranean coast of the Middle East. This is a book I have. This is by John D. Hessler. It's called The Siege of Acre. In Arabic, it's Akka, but it's Acre in English, and Latinized. The subtitle is Saladin, Richard the Lionheart, and the Battle That Decided the Third Crusade. Acre is a bit north of Jerusalem, near the Lebanese border. But this book gives you an idea about there's so many books with probably nicer covers about the Crusades, but they in around the the 1100s and 1200s, the 12th and 13th centuries, attacked Islam from the west. There was another attack from the east on the Islamic heartland in the 13th and 14th century, and that was the Mongols. This is a book I have called The Mongol Storm by Nicholas Morton, and the subtitle is Making and Breaking Empires in the Medieval Near East. And if you can see, the cover actually has swords on it. So the Mongols were a pagan people who invaded from Mongolia and China into the Middle East from the east, and the Crusaders from Europe came from the west, and they both attacked the Middle East at a time of great decline. Surprisingly, the Christians and the Mongols, there were ideas, negotiation, talks, if you will, that said, let us come together and we can both defeat the Islamic world. But interestingly, the Christians, I think, deciding it's better to deal with the devil you know than the devil you don't know, actually didn't side with the Mongols. They actually sided with the Muslims. One of the few cases in history where the Muslims and Christians came together to repulse the Mongol invasion. Remember, the Mongols were the devils they don't know. They were pagan. Nobody knew much about them. There was not much love between Muslims and Christians, but they both believe in Adam and Noah and Abraham and Moses and Jesus. So there was I don't know, some kind of understanding, and they actually came together, repulsed the Mongols. Although eventually the Muslims would also kick the Christian crusaders out of the Holy Land. General Salah ad-Din, or Saladin as you Westerners call him, would drive the crusaders out of the Holy Land. All this is to say is those two attacks that penetrated the Middle East from two sides really destroyed the Islamic, the Arabian Islamic Empire, severely weakened it, and it would take some time for it to come back. And Islamic empires would come back, but they would come back with non-Arab rulers, Islamic but not Arabic. So you had the Ottoman Turks in Turkey, you had the Safavids in Persia, who were Persians, and you had the Moguls in India, which were Indian or Central Asian. The Mughals, I think Mughals is the proper English way to name it. These three were non-Arab but Islamic, and they revived Islam in the 15th and 16th century, or 16th and 17th centuries. But those empires were called the gunpowder empires, and they were called gunpowder because they no longer used swords and daggers. They actually had guns. It was Islamic empire with guns. So that whole history lesson I gave is just to show that yes, during the medieval or when the Islamic empire first sprouted, and then fighting the Crusades and fighting the Mongols, there was always swords being used. Once gun technology came to the Middle East, there were new Islamic civilizations that were called gunpowder civilization, and the sword as a weapon of choice in Islamic armies slowly started to decrease in use. Anyway, so that whole throat clearing history lesson was just to point out that swords were a big part of Middle Eastern culture and warfare, as it was in many other parts of the world. Europe, of course, in the Middle Ages, the samurai in Japan, of course, and there are probably others. But although swords in the Middle East stopped being used once gunpowder and new technologies came on the scene, the sword and the daggers still play an important part in Arabic and Islamic culture, and you can see it all over the culture. So with that, it takes me to the first book I wanted to show that I found in my library, as close as possible as I could get. The actual title of this book is called Arab and Islamic Silver. sorry, the bookmarks are the pictures I'm going to show you, but it's by Saad Al-Jaber. So I'm doing this now here. If it doesn't work out, I might do it on the table because this is a big coffee book type book, coffee table type book. But and this is focusing mostly on silver rather than actual swords or anything. But there is some interesting photos. The first thing I wanted to show is just a map to give us some perspective. This book has nice maps. This map, I don't know if this is going to show, you might not see me, but I hope you can hear my voice, is the Levant, Mesopotamia, Persia, Turkey, and that's what they call the northern Middle East or northern Arabia. But what I wanted to focus on in this video, just if you can see, let me just go back to the old one. That's the Levant and Iraq. You've got the Arabian Gulf or the Persian Gulf, but here they call it Arabian Gulf, surprisingly. We're going to go here to southern Arabia, very famous for their daggers especially, and also their swords. So by going south, we go to the Arabian Peninsula. That's right over there. That's where I live, the United Arab Emirates. Oman is very famous for its daggers. The other place that's very famous is Yemen, southern Arabia, right over here on the Indian Ocean. And of course, Saudi Arabia, especially eastern Saudi Arabia, is very famous for its swords, especially. So that's where we're going to focus here, the Arabian Peninsula, where I'm based. And just to give you some examples of the weaponry, the daggers mostly. Not too many swords. Again, if I could have made it to the museum, maybe I could have shown swords, but again, because it was closed for renovation, I promise once they reopen, I'll go and make a video there, a part 2 to this video. Just to give you an example, so because this book is about the silver, it's not really showing the steel and the dagger, the actual blades. It's more of the outside, which this book covers, but it's still very beautiful. This is the famous Southern Arabian dagger, you can see. So it's there inlaid, and it's got that curve. It's called the khanjar in Arabic, but it's pretty much a dagger. And then it's got usually a leather and silver covered sort of belt that you wear around the waist. I'll show pictures of actual men wearing it, but that's a very example of a very beautiful silver inlaid Arabic dagger. That's the cover. Again, there's not many pictures of the actual blade. Again, if I could have made the museum, then maybe. Here's another one, just another example, again with the belt and then the dagger. That's the hole where you hold it, and then it curves. Famous for the curve. The Arabian dagger is. Just to show you more pictures. I hope this is working out and it's showing. Again, more examples here of photos. You can see the very prominent sort of curve on the dagger. This one especially. Look at this one. It's almost. And then of course the belt that we mentioned. So just you can see this one's got some. The belt's got like kind of like gems. Some of them are real works of art. Again, just one more photo, a couple of more photos as an example. Again, this one focusing on the silver cover of the daggers rather than the actual blade, but that's the best I could do. Again, considering the circumstances in my limited library. The other thing I wanted to show is the men mostly of Arabia who used to wear the daggers that we saw and how it's worn. For this, I found this book. This is by Wilfred Thesiger, the famous British explorer. This is called Crossing the Sands. I believe this is the same as Arabian Sands. It might be a different book, but this is a special edition, large edition with photographs that I have in my library. So it's helpful for our purposes here. Of course, Now, as an example, this is the author himself, Thesiger, Englishman, dressed like an Arab in Arabic dress, and you can see it right there. That's his dagger, wearing his dagger around his waist. Again, by this time it's very ceremonial, but still very significant. Part of the costume, really. Here's another picture of Thesiger, the author. Again, with his dagger, dressed in Arab costume, but with the dagger around his waist. This is just another photo. Again, how we said the gun, the what did we call it? The gunpowder empires replaced the sword empires, the gunpowder Islamic empires. And that is true also in southern Arabia. This book, Thesiger's Crossing the Sands, was his journey from the south, his journey across the empty quarter. He started in the south in Yemen, went north through the empty quarter until he reached the Arabian Gulf, in the part of the world where I live, in the United Arab Emirates. That was his end goal. So these are the actual Arabians of South Arabia that he captured on photo and in words, of course. And really the last, this is the 1930s, the 40s, the last image of the what's the word, unpolluted or untainted by civilization Arab Bedou, who actually wore swords and were actual real nomadic Bedouins. But this picture is a young boy, but you can see he's got a rifle because it's the gunpowder age. The rifle would replace the gun. The rifle would replace the dagger, but as we'll see, the dagger keeps its historic significance as a cultural icon. Here's a nice picture again of an Arabic Bedouin man, again with a large dagger. There's different types of daggers. The small, more curved one is the Omani style, called a khanjar, or a dagger. There's a bigger one called I think it's the Yemeni style. It's much larger. Even when you wear it, it reaches the chest. The handle does. It's called the janabiyya, which comes from the root word janab, which means side, on your side. So it's like you carry it on your side at all times, basically. If we keep going along with the pictures, again, here's a good picture of another young boy lying down, but he's got his dagger around his waist. Just keep going with the photos. Again, similar. You've got the dagger. Let's see what else we can see here. Okay, this is a good photo because, again, this is another photo. It's a rifle, but I don't know if you can see right over there. He's still wearing the belt that belongs. So I think the dagger doesn't show, but the belt is showing. And if you can see, the belt that they wore to hold their dagger actually served a dual purpose when the rifle was introduced to Arabia. They would put their bullets on those belts, so it was a dagger holder, but it was also a place to keep bullets. I think there's a better picture coming up. I hope there is, so I can show you guys. Here's a good picture of the. He's got the rifle, but the belt is carrying the bullets. And there's a Saluki dog, famous desert dog in the Arabian world. I think it's a greyhound. Yeah, here's an example. So he's wearing the dagger and the belt with the bullets, but he's also carrying a rifle. The rifle more purposeful, but the dagger again very symbolic. We can see the Arabic Bedouin man in Arabic dress. That's his hunting falcon, very medieval photo. This was probably taken in the 40s or even the 50s. And then that's the dagger right there. A very nice photo there, actually. Um, just a couple of more. I know this video is dragging, and I always try to avoid that. Here's a good example of a gentleman, again in Arabic dress. You've got the dagger and the belt, and then the belt's carrying, you can see the bullets. So it both holds the dagger and the bullets. So that was kind of interesting. Last couple of photos, anything else? Oh, this is a good way to end. Yeah, this is the author after crossing the desert, dressed in Arabic dress, and then of course you've got the dagger right over there. Actually, this is a good way to end it. This last photo of his is the two boys who assisted them in crossing. Again, the rifle is there, but so is the dagger. The dagger is never far off, right over there, and you can see the belt that carries the dagger and the bullets. And again, although rifle is more important, the dagger, it stays. And the dagger is still very famous, especially in Oman. The leadership, the Sultan of Oman, actually still carries the dagger. It's not worn too much here in the United Arab Emirates anymore. It used to be much more ubiquitous, but now it's just for during events, special occasions. But in Oman, they still wear it. The people walking up down the street, you can still see them carrying the belt across their waist with the dagger. Speaking of Oman and the swords of Arabia, if I just show you some photos I have on the iPad here, this, I hope isn't too dark. That's the emblem of Saudi Arabia. Also in this part of Arabia, you've got the palm tree, which is very famous in this part of the world, but then it's two swords. This is actually the coat of arms, I guess, of Saudi Arabia. Maybe if that's it in white. Maybe it shows a bit better. The more interesting one is Oman. This is the coat of arms of Oman, the Sultanate of Oman, and this is actually on their flag, but this is actually a close-up. You can see there you've got two swords. Ah, there you go. Okay, wow, this is nice when you've got two swords crossed, two Arabian swords, and then the Arabian dagger in the middle. And if I show you, that's actually the flag of Oman right over there, and that's the what we just saw right over there on the corner of the flag. The same is true of the Saudi flag. Famously, you've got the Islamic writing and then the sword underneath. Basically intimating to conquer in the name of God, but that's the Arabian sword. Again, I don't have too many sword pictures here. I checked, I don't have anything specific, so this will have to do. There's another, this is the old flag of the old kingdom of Yemen. Again, Yemen in southern Arabia, very magical land. That's, again, I think those 5 stars are the 5 states or provinces of Yemen, but then the sword in the middle. So, yeah, that's as much as I could show with the limited resources that I have. Again, I'll take a look at this, and if the video looks okay with me holding the big books like that, I'll keep it. If it looks really bad, I might redo it and do it on the table and show maybe better photos from above. I'll take a look. But again, I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something. Maybe you got inspired. Sort of bookish, but I also wanted to discuss a bit of the sword play in the Middle East and how important it is in Middle Eastern culture, especially in southern Arabia, here where I am in the UAE, Oman, and Yemen, and in parts of Saudi Arabia. And I hope JJ found this interesting. I know she has a very global reading habit, and I hope I also improve or extended her knowledge of daggers and swords from Arabia. Maybe she and the rest of you found this interesting. Anyway, BookTube, thank you so much. I'll be back soon. Salute.